What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Celtics Daily. The second round is set as the Knicks got by just by the skin of their teeth, winning 116-113 last night in Game 6 against the Detroit Pistons. And it took a cold crossover from Brunson, who sent Asar Thompson from screen right to screen left as he just kind of flew through the camera. Brunson stepped in, knocked down a three. It was 3 of his 40 points last night. So the vibes might be a little bit weird in New York during that first round, but all that matters is they advances to the second round. They'll take on Boston. Game 1 is going to be Monday night in Boston. And the Celtics are probably looking at this matchup and just licking their chops, right? They played 4 different times in the regular season, as we outlined in yesterday's video, and they went 4-0, undefeated in the regular season against the Knicks. So I'm sure they're not terrified of them. On paper, though, this matchup does look a little trickier than what we've seen in Orlando in round 1, which makes sense because we're on round 2. You have these elite defenders who haven't really shown that they can do it with the Knicks yet in OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, who they specifically went out and got so that they can defend the 2 wings of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. However, that did not prove to be fruitful in the regular season. But as we've talked about before, the postseason is a different beast. They also have Karl Anthony Towns, who wasn't on this team last year, and he's going to be a big presence. He's actually had some pretty good success against the Celtics. However, we do have Kristaps and Al actually healthy this time around, so that's important. And then, of course, Josh Hart, who's going to like Russell Westbrook light out there running around like a crazy man. I do think depth will come into play as we get deeper into this series. Again, the Knicks having to play 6 tough games. The Celtics having almost a week off between round 1 and round 2. They should be fresh. They should be ready to go. And good Lord, hopefully Jrue Holiday is good to go, because I think that is the one thing. We're going to talk X factors later, but one of the things that was really going to determine how long this series goes, in my opinion, is the health of Jrue Holiday, because we just saw Jalen Brunson be an absolute menace. I believe, and I don't have this in front of me, he scored at least 30 points in every... No, he didn't, because he didn't do it in the most recent game. In games 1 through 4, and then in 6, Brunson scored at least 30 or more points, and as I mentioned earlier, capping it off with that 40-point game. So Brunson is going to be a menace. They'll have their hands full, and Jrue Holiday is super important in slowing down Brunson, or at least just making it a little bit more difficult for him. So we'll get into X factors and some predictions a little bit later, but the thing that we need to talk about yesterday, I don't know if Shams Charania is a plant for the Knicks. I don't know if he was just like, hey, it's a slow news day. He went on Pat McAfee's show and then went out there and was like, hey, Celtics owner, they finally got the money together. They're good to go. Bill Chisholm, officially the owner, but probably going to be making some moves this offseason. It's well known. He said well known in the industry that the Celtics will probably be making some trades. Now, we've literally already done videos on this. So if you are a Celtics fan who has been paying attention this season, we basically knew from October that this roster that they have constructed right now would be very, very expensive this time next year. And so if the Celtics are unable to either repeat or, just not get close, or then they're probably going to start stripping away some of the parts. Now, this could look something like Sam Hauser, who's all of a sudden going to become a little bit more expensive. He goes, or Luke Cornett, who is going to get a little bit more expensive. He goes, or something like that, right? Now, if the Celtics are unable to defend their title, maybe it becomes a little bit juicier. Maybe it is Kristaps Porzingis gets moved or Jrue Holiday gets moved. And then I know everyone's going to be quick to point out Jaylen Brown because of how much money he makes too. I feel like I'm with almost certainty Tatum and Brown will be on the Celtics for the foreseeable future. The only way that I could see this happening is if somehow the Celtics get bounced really early, whether it's in the second round or in the conference finals against either the Cavs or the Pacers, and then, Giannis Antetokounmpo starts saying, hey, man, I don't really want to play in Milwaukee, but I really like the color green. I want to continue to wear the color green from Milwaukee and now to Boston. Then maybe things get a little weird, right? One thing we have to remember, Danny Ainge isn't here anymore. Now, if Danny Ainge was a part of the Celtics organization and Giannis was somebody that became available, yes, he for sure would trade everybody. He would trade Paul Revere. He would trade anybody that was close to Boston, Massachusetts to do something like that because he's ruthless. But I don't really foresee that being a thing. And I think what was so interesting about the reporting yesterday is, again, this was stuff that was already known, but they were treating it like it was this big reveal. Every single ESPN show after Shams went on Pat McAfee's show to talk about it was leading with this stuff. I don't really see it happening. I don't see it being as insane as they're making it sound. I do think one of Drew Holiday or Porzingis could go. But listen, do you want to know what would make for incredible drama? If the Celtics go back and repeat and win their second consecutive title, and the first thing new ownership does after that is start to dismantle the back-to-back champs, do you know how we haven't had the opportunity to hate like that in quite some time? And it'll just kind of renew that energy of hating billionaires because you can't be back-to-back champs. Again, maybe Hauser, maybe Cornette, some of those peripheral pieces might not come back. That makes sense to me. But if you win not just one, but two titles, which we don't see back-to-back champs, I don't think we've seen it since the Golden State Warriors did it in that run with Kevin Durant. You can't break it up. And if you do, we get to revolt. So it's kind of win-win depending on how you look at it. But I thought the timing of it was pretty interesting. Felt like a slow news day dump, and that the Celtics hadn't played in a little while. The vibes are too good. And then the New York media, no, I don't think that's exactly what happened, but it was a little bizarre to see that get dropped and then picked up everywhere. We had freaking Game 6 of Knicks Pistons. We had Game 6 of Nuggets and Clippers, which was a great game. And we're talking about that? What's going on here? What's going on? Are they out to get us? All right, there we go. Anyways, all right, let's get to the X Factor of round 2. I'm very excited about this one because the sixth man of the year was pretty freaking quiet in round 1. Now, a lot of that had to do with the defensive tenacity of what Orlando Magic was bringing to the table. Shouts to Anthony Black, even a little Corey Joseph sprinting around there. But Peyton Pritchard was pretty much ineffective, right? He had those 2 games, I think it was games 3 and 4, where he combined for a total of 3 points and like 4 shots. And then in game 5, he woke up a little bit more in the closeout game when he got to 10 points. But this is going to be a completely different matchup. I know I mentioned the defensive capabilities of guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, yet we still haven't seen them do lockdown defense. OG Anunoby does it for every few games. He'll all of a sudden show up and remind us. Remember game 1 against Cade Cunningham in that last series? Everybody's like, oh my God, Cade can be stopped by OG. And then Cade was not stopped after that. But they do have like defensive pieces, but Peyton Pritchard should have no problem getting to his spots, getting open, and carving them up a little bit. Because again, when you look at the bench last night, the Knicks only played 8 guys, and really it was 7.5 because the Bridges, Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Jalen Brunson all played 42 or more minutes. Cat played 37 because he had some foul trouble and fouled out. Josh Hart played 35. Now, the bench, Mitchell Robinson came in, played 13 minutes. They actually trusted Miles McBride, Deuce McBride, a little bit more this game where they haven't been playing him a ton. He played 17 minutes. And then Cameron Payne, or as I like to call him, Scam Payne, played 6 minutes. So it's really only 7.5 guys. None of those guys that we listed are like top-notch defenders, right? Mitchell Robinson, a really good rim protector, but he's not going to be playing too many minutes. And Jalen Brunson, not known for defense, right? That's why you have Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart. I do think this could be a series where you see the Derek Whites of the world, the Peyton Pritchards, and Drew Holiday, if he's there, get going a little bit. I will be curious which guy they throw on Tatum. I'm assuming it's going to be OG on Tatum and then Mikal Bridges on Jaylen Brown. But I'm sorry, you're not, at this point in their careers, you're not stopping Tatum and you're not stopping Brown. We just saw one of the best defensive teams in the league in the Orlando Magic just let Tatum average like 34 and 11, right? So I'm not really worried about that. And again, the Detroit Pistons not really known for a great offensive team. And the Pistons put like 113 on them in like a game where you need to play defense, right? So I think I lean Peyton Pritchard getting a little bit more active, especially after a frustrating first-round series. He would be my X factor for this one. I don't expect big minutes, probably in that like 17 to 18-minute range, but I expect more shots, more threes. And again, I'm ready for this series. I'm ready. It's going to be fun. From garden to garden, right? I think we're still called a garden, right? Is it TD Bank Garden? Dumb name. Let's just call it the Boston Garden. And Madison Square Garden's cool, though. That is a cool name. It's going to be a fun series. There are going to be a lot of eyeballs on it. I'm hoping the Celtics go out there, because I'm sure the Knicks fans and the Knicks team is feeling a little good. They got through the first round. They're like puffing out their chests a little bit, survive and advance mentality. I hope the Celtics come out there and step on their throat in game 1 just to remind them, hey, we've owned you this year, and we're going to continue to do so. Let's get to the predictions here. What are we thinking? I want to know from you all, too, in the chat. What are you thinking for round 2 against the Knicks? I am feeling way too confident, which is making me uncomfortable inside, but I'm not going to change that demeanor for you in this video. I'm going to take Celtics in 5. I think the Celtics go up 2-0, drop game 3, and then game 4 in the Garden. They smoke them. Game 5. Wouldn't even be surprised if the Celtics swept them. I saw nothing from the Knicks in round 1 that made me think they are a serious team. Now, this is dangerous to say into the camera. This could be used against me in the court of law or on Twitter, but I just don't. There was nothing that felt good. Their offense is an unserious offense, right? Like they have Brunson and Cat, who are these two dynamic offensive players, and somehow in a closeout game, Karl Anthony Towns only took 10 shots. He had 2 different games where he scored 10 points or less in the first round. How does that happen? It's bad coaching. It's bad offensive execution. It's Jalen Brunson having to take 33 shots a game. So if that's our defense is not, you can't get away with that. You can't get away with that. So, and Cat has had success against the Celtics in the past, but he also has had success against the Pistons, and he was MIA. So we'll have to wait and see. I think it's Celtics in 5. I'm looking forward to it. And then I think we get Cavs in 6 or Cavs in 7, something like that. We're on that collision course, that Eastern Conference collision course between the Celtics and the Cavs that everybody's been wanting since October or November. So that's how I think this is going to play out. But before we get out of here, just a reminder, don't freak out about potential trades for the Celtics, all right? Live in the moment. Enjoy this postseason run. This is a title defense. This doesn't happen very often. You get to just lean into it. Have some fun. You don't have to freak out about trades yet. Because guess what? In a month or two, not even, in a month, season winds down, then we get nothing to talk about. We're doing draft class rankings, right? No, not us. Then we can dive into that. Enjoy the ride. All right, let's go get the back-to-back titles. Thanks for tuning in. We will be back soon, probably breaking down the second round. Thanks for tuning in.